Are we live?
Bennetts Customs, welcome.
Welcome to Bennetts Customs' first ever live Q&A. Bear with us because we're not sure how this is going to work. So fingers crossed you guys can hear us clearly. Maybe give us a few thumbs up for those who are tuning in. We're just going to allow like a few minutes just for everyone to grab their coffees and or late afternoon beverages to jump in before we start. We got Josh behind the lens helping us today. And Ben is behind the computer. He's going to read out the questions. I think my partner Casey's going to come in for some moral support. But yeah, it's a nice day today. It's sunny. The surf looks good. Probably going to try and go down afterwards and get one. Maybe a gentleman's hour.
Thumbs up.
All the frothing kids will go out there, come in. Got to go get their Wheaties. They must work on us someday, eh?
All right, this is a question from last week. Someone dropped in the comments.
Okay, let's get straight into it.
From Rob Bollum.
Rob.
Yep. How many times did you clean the air filter with all the dust up there?
Surprisingly, not as much as you'd think. We lucked out with the hood and the way the air came in, kind of into the filter. It actually like passed all the dust, but was still able to breathe. So, yeah, only a few times, but definitely not as much. Like I'm pretty sure everyone had like baskets full of air filters and was trying everything to keep it out. But yeah, kind of lucked out with that one.
From Connie Milson. This is from last week as well. Average speed of the car and bike.
Average speed of the car and bike. I think the bike got up to 125k and we clocked 165 kilometers in the car. So, but it's got much, much more. I think there's more legs in that too. That motor's incredible, the aerial. That thing just performed very well. They both did.
We've got a question from L. Bennett.
Linda Bennett.
Is that
That's Mum.
Mum. Why didn't you use a windscreen from Mum?
I didn't have time, Mum. I didn't have time to make a windscreen. Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately. But I am going to make one. Maybe next week for when we go back up in a couple weeks' time.
Andre L., how is the suspension tuning going?
Really well. We've basically dialed in the front suspension. You guys probably haven't seen this much, but these are the new friction shocks that that I fabricated in, and kind of just yesterday did like a few trial runs up and down the street. Try to hit as many potholes as possible, but they're working out really well. So just have to do the rear suspension, and yeah, then fingers crossed it's definitely performs a lot better than it did.
Question from Paul Bellinger.
Paul?
How long is the course at Percoley, and do you compete against other cars?
The course itself, there is a bit of debacle about it, but I'm pretty sure it's 3.2 kilometers on the inside lane. If you were to imagine it being several lanes across, the outside lane is about 4 kilometers. With the cars, it was never, you can't really compete. During the timing days and your tests and tunes, it was really fun because you were able to pass, but the dust up there gets insanely dangerous to the point where it's really tough to see like anything basically. I think at some points I could just see my steering wheel, and then in front was noise and red dust. So with the cars you cannot pass, but they do stagger the time so that you're able to basically still, you're able to drive your car as you would in a proper race, and by the time you hit your second lap coming around the second bend, you should all kind of line up for a really nice photo finish.
Sweet. Yael Santos,
okay.
I assume from Brazil, maybe,
yeah.
Maybe a Brazilian subscriber, asked about the music in the YouTube.
Yeah.
Put in all the
Yeah, we'll try and, well, yeah, that's that guy over there. That's Ben.
In all the description.
Yeah. So he'll put it in every video that we bring out. We'll always make sure that we have the link in the description to the music that we use. So yeah, and I think you guys, we're getting great feedback from the music. So we want to try and keep finding some good fresh stuff for it. So
Andre L again. I'm not sure where Andre is from, but is the driving position what you thought it would be?
The driving position, what I thought it would be. To be honest, I wish I was sitting a little bit lower in the car, but unfortunately, with the design of it, it was really tough to try and get the seat any lower because of the torque tube and where the axle was. So even if I had made a bigger kick for the frame and lowered it down considerably more, I still wouldn't have had a lot of room. So I think hindsight, it would have been neat to actually design this body, but you know, say another 6 or 7 inches higher, so I'm kind of sitting more in it. But it's kind of cool. It's just going to be weird if I end up designing and making a roll bar, which I've been considering. The roll bar is going to sit quite high, but it'll just look like an old billy cart that we all used to race when we were kids anyway. So that's basically what it is. It just happens to have a Flathead Ford V8 in it. Every kid's dream.
Who did the pinstriping?
Ooh, yeah. That is our good mate and local in town, Craig Baxter. We can put the link to his Instagram. He is a very, very good sign painter and pinstriper. He's basically done it his entire life, and he does a lot of other things as well. But he's very talented, and we kind of gave him I just gave him ideas. And he knew exactly what it was. You know, I almost wanted like a bit more, and he kept kind of reminding me less is more, and I completely agree. But he nailed it out of the park, definitely.
A few questions coming in about top speed. Have you already answered that?
Yeah, so top speed, it wasn't really like a speed thing up there, and they didn't really want to encourage it. So we did have to like wait a little while, but we did crack 100 mile an hour, just over. And the following day, after I was having some fuel dramas, basically when I was getting to top speed, it was leaning out a lot, and I couldn't figure it out, which was a shame because everyone was getting two passes, and I was only really doing a lap because I didn't want to push it without it performing properly. So there was a lot of trial and error with it, as expected, but luckily was able to buy a rotary style fuel pump off a gentleman up there, and that helped immensely. And then we ended up using a drill bit and drilling out the jets. I had for those guys who know these, I had a set of 51s in there. No, 50s, I believe. And we wanted 52s for the jet size. No one had any up there, unfortunately. So we took a set of 51s and I drilled it out with a drill bit. And that was a bit of roll of the dice, and it worked incredibly well. So it's probably runs slightly rich, which is totally cool. And yeah, I definitely think it can. Yeah, it's got more in it. That's for sure. So maybe that's when the roll cage will come.
I've got a question from Wayne in Fremantle. He was wondering about the pipes and who did them.
I can't actually remember what his name is. He's really hard to understand. So I think his name is Win. Nah, that's the Scotsman. That's him asking right now. He's probably, ask him if he's at the swap meet right now. There's a swap meet where we were supposed to be at. But yeah, he did the pipes. Him and I kind of came up with tons of different plans and made some templates. And we came up with the idea of what you see. So he is an incredibly talented traditional sand bender. You know, he's a great guy if you can understand him. But yeah, he's very talented. So thank you, Wayne.
Lake pipes. Hi, slightly off topic, but is the Model A coming back to Australia, and will you do a progress build series on it?
Certainly. So the container, yes, we will. Sorry, I should repeat these questions so you guys can hear them clearly. The Model A Roadster that I purchased in Canada, it is here. The whole entire container. We are just waiting for customs and all the rest to get it through. And that will be another build series for sure. It's my dream car. I've had several Roadsters, but this is kind of the one I've really wanted to build. It was super special, dragging like mum, dad, my partner Casey, you know, all the kids, my nieces and nephews all got to see everything over there. So it meant a lot, and I really want to build like a really nice traditional hot rod and have this Roadster on 32 rails and the rest. So yeah, that's going to be a really neat one, and I have some really cool ideas that will be interesting to try and follow along. Lots of cool tutorials, lots of little finer details. As you know, I love the finer details of stuff, so yeah, I think there'll be some pretty cool things.
Andre L again, who's from Louisiana.
Oh, Louisiana,
yeah.
Not Brazil.
No. Were you able to remedy the radiator leak?
Yes, I was. We used some JB Weld. It worked out perfect. That whole radiator, it was funny. When I built it, I pressure tested it, ran across, and I only had a few leaks, which was surprising. I thought it was gonna leak like a sprinkler, and it didn't. I had one little pinhole in the bottom, and it actually shot the smallest like pin of water straight at the distributor, which was perfect for, you know, making sure it didn't run properly. So tiny little bit of JB Weld, put it on there, and yeah, she runs warm.
Frank C. Do you get more satisfaction building with simple tools rather than having a shop full of expensive tools?
Yeah, definitely. I think the satisfaction of having simple tools, building something and creating rather than having big machines, for sure. Like, you know, when you kind of stand back, like especially this, like I didn't really have that many amazing tools to do it. Luckily, like I was able to purchase that planishing hammer from Carl and bring that back in my surfboard bag, which was pretty funny. And that helped out a lot, just having that. But yeah, I mean, like it's everyone's dream to have some big stuff. Like I'd still love to have a Pullmax and certain machines that I'll be saving up for. But those are just to try and keep pushing the boundary and the limits of like my, you know, skill set and try and create some really cool pieces. So yeah, great satisfaction, but I would love some cool tools too.
Frank C is from Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Yep. Great place.
City limits.
A lot of beautiful hot rods there.
Talk us through the seat, how the seat was made.
The seat was a quick one. That was literally, I had ideas of building a really nice like bomber style seat, and was going to have some rivets and try and kind of complement sort of the, you know, aircraft post-war theme that we were trying to go for. But yeah, it was just built really quickly. There's literally, I mean, it's so simple. I'll probably end up changing it maybe, but for now it just worked. And last minute, a beautiful couple here that does upholstery for furniture, they had a bunch of scrap leather pieces, and they were actually able to sew them all together to kind of create a little seat for us. So, but with the interior, there's probably a couple questions about it, but I do want to finish it. So I do want to do the rolled edge, kind of like an early sprint car that'll go right around. And we've actually pre-thought of this. You can see where Craig's run this pinstripe line. He's stopped it here because we are going to have a rolled edge that'll come up around the whole thing to about here. And then it'll have kind of a pleated, you know, piece all the way through. And I want to do it out of like try and find an old couch that's like a really nice dark green leather. I really like green leather at the moment, so I want to try and use some of that. So the upholstery will be coming soon.
Talk us through the motor and how that came about and how it performed up there, because it was touch and go there.
Yeah, so the motor definitely was touch and go. I had a great 59 AB in the container that we had planned on using. And due to, you know, shipping and stuff at the moment, you never know when you're going to get it. It's a bit of a roll of the dice. So luckily, Ben and his father Pete Forster up in Perth, they're very well-known hot rodders. They've built some beautiful stuff. Ben's always looked after us. He's a great guy to kind of deal with. So he's yeah, he's always trying to push us to do really neat things as well. And luckily, they had this old motor. Pete actually came down on the weekend and was explaining how he got it. And yeah, it's just an early 21 stud. And it's basically just got to freshen up on the top end. It's still got standard bore, standard pistons, but 30 over rings that he's gapped and made each one all the way through. And they used the tool to cut out the lip. But the bottom end's pretty dodgy still. And they had said that, you know, we kind of just were in hopes to get up there and at least do one lap. And if it went kerplunk, then, you know, we were happy with that. But surprisingly, it's performed really well. And for like an early 21 stud, it's crazy. Like, it'd be interesting to know what a like real nice hopped up flathead would do in this, because yeah, it feels quick already. But yeah, thank you guys for that as well. That was huge. So really saved our butts.
Lake Pipes. She's from Melbourne, actually. Got another question. Now that time is no longer a driving force, apart from a roll bar, what other changes would you make to the car?
Suspension. We're going to try and do the fine tunings of that. I'm going to make a new hood for the car, cowl sides and louver everything, but leave it kind of that brushed aluminum or maybe polished. It will get a little fairing for the front of the cowl just to try and keep that wind from going straight into my teeth. Interior, would love to finish that off. And yeah, maybe, I don't know, I got some different wheels and shoes and stuff in the container, so I wouldn't mind swapping up the wheel combo and maybe making looking like an earlier or later model style hot rod for a little while. Who knows? Yeah, it'll forever evolve. It's never done. It's not even close to how I've wanted it, like I still envision it. So it would still be nice to create a few more pieces for it for sure.
Frank C. from Austin, Texas again. What would you've done differently with the build, like the whole build process?
I probably would have made it a little bit more comfortable for my size. If I had to do it again. Yeah, I'll show you. Like, you can kind of see, I need to finish the floor off too. That's another one I need to do. But as you can see, when I'm in it, like, those are my knees. That's the steering wheel. And there's not a whole lot of, you know, room in here. A lot of people had suggested to maybe cut this down, which kind of was more what they used to do, so you had more elbow space. But when I was racing, like, I was kind of sitting like this, like just trying to get my head down, even though it doesn't go anywhere. And yeah, I was just kind of tucked in because the straights there are pretty long, so you're just kind of getting into it. But yeah, I probably would have made it a little bit bigger. But having said that, I am going to alter this wheel. I'm going to make it, the outside diameter will be the inside diameter, so it'll be a little bit smaller, which shouldn't affect it too much with the steering, with the manual steering it has. But yeah, I probably would have changed a few things. I'd still really like to make a belly pan and get my feet a little bit lower. But yeah, for the meantime, it kind of does what it's supposed to do. Maybe make a nice step to get out of it so I'm not always stepping over everything.
How well does it stop with just the rear brakes?
When we were up there, the first couple, terrible. I think at one time when I went out there, I was using my hands to stop it. You don't really need brakes. Not saying you shouldn't have them up there, but it needs the back arms I made do flex slightly, so I do need to fix those. But after, like, because I never got brand new drums for the rear, so I'm using secondhand ones with new linings. So as you guys probably know, you need to kind of keep adjusting them to get them to seat properly with that sharp edge. But yeah, it actually stops quite good. I think if I were to want to race this on bitumen or asphalt or something, I would maybe put front brakes back on it, because there's a bit more consequence when you're racing up there with, you know, concrete walls and stuff. Up there was just a little bit of shrub that you go through, so wasn't as dangerous, I suppose.
Lindsay Bennett again. Jordo, looking forward to being
Hello, my beautiful sister.
My question is, what will my jobs be as your shop rat?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of jobs here for you to do, Linz. You're great at cleaning, so we'll get you straight into that. As you can see, I don't want to show you too much because it looks like a disaster at the moment, but usually I have a crazy OCD with it being clean. Maybe not the house so much, Casey would disagree with that, or the side of my bed with my dirty socks. But in the shop, I like to keep stuff clean. But yeah, looking forward for you guys to come over here. I want your artistic skills, actually, because you and I think alike, so that'd be good.
Murdoch 6501. Damn, got my time zones boogered. Greetings from Sparrows Point, USA. Love the channel and your work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for chiming in.
Murdoch.
Yeah.
Few crew asking about this area, the hood.
Yeah,
What's
the hood.
happened?
So this was actually, I've made 3. This is the first one that I said I was going to make, and I made one at 3 in the morning prior to leaving. I was trying to finish it and I screwed it up with a template that was the wrong one. So this is the setup that we ran up there, and as you can see, this was kind of the reason why we didn't collect so much dust, is the wind actually came straight off of it and just cleared, and I cut the back of just a shitty chrome air cleaner and it went into the back. So what's going to happen next? Yeah, this is the one I designed, or was in the process. It's still usable, but I kind of screwed up and I didn't like that it doesn't go down enough. I really like the profile of the way this one sits. But what's going to happen is I will end up finishing off the little louver machine, and then I'll build one similar to this, and it's just going to have a few rows of louvers across here, and then I will build cowl sides that will go down to the frame rail, and they will also be louvered. So this will still lift off as one piece, and so I can still get access to everything. And yeah, so it should look a little bit different. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how it does look, because I'm hoping it'll kind of break it up a little bit with how flat the top of the cowl is. And when I was running into the hood, everything was kind of maybe a bit too long and skinny. So I just want to break it up a bit with some louvers, and then I will end up making that little fairing here, and I'll keep that, whatever finish I do on the aluminum, I will keep that the same and do some nice brass rivets to hold it on. So that'd be kind of cool.
How'd your rear suspension go, and what did you do up there to fix it?
So the rear suspension was not great. As you guys saw, I used Model A rear spring. I ended up reversing the main eye and bending them all to a Model T profile. But I do need to go through and kind of tweak them all slightly. I barely have any suspension at that. As you can see, we have no shocks on it, so you can tell, but if I go like this, that's bottoming out. So that needs to be adjusted. And how I'll do that is just tweaking the springs a little bit. I want to get these shackles to sit more at a 45-degree angle. And then, if Josh stays down there, I will show you. These are the other friction shocks that we will be using. I've just sandblasted these ones. As you can see, this is how they work, with a clamp that goes through here. The tighter these go down, the tighter they clamp down on the brake shoe itself. So these will be getting mounted something like that, if I can figure it out, with a mount off here, and then this will get fixed to the frame, and that will immensely help with the suspension. So it'll tighten it up a lot, which is kind of what we need. But yeah, to answer your question, it went really bad. Luckily, we just jammed some rubber blocks under there and basically eliminated the suspension in the front and the back entirely when we were up there.
Another question from Murdoch. Love your collaborations with Carl from Bennetts Customs. Any future projects in the works?
Yeah, to say no, I'd be lying, but yeah, Carl and I have always talked about doing something together. Fingers crossed, if I go back home again this year or next year for summer, we can kind of muster something up. But yeah, we've got some ideas up the pipeline, and it would be great to work with him. Yeah, it's great. I really like the way he works. I kind of feel like You know, even when we were doing the grill, for example, like we just both work really well together. I can kind of see his vision, you know, maybe like I know that kind of a step ahead. I kind of know where he's kind of going. So it was really fun to work with him and just hanging out with him. He's one of my best mates. So I love the company, and yeah, trying to convince him to come over. So all you guys chime in, get on his channel and say, fly over here. Help us do something cool.
Joe, what was the reason for changing the front grille?
Yeah, I changed it. So what happened was this was a 48 Anglia grill, for those who don't know. Heavily modified, chopped sections, sail panels. These are what Carl and I made. But yeah, it did have the original runners. And to be honest, I was thinking about it the other day. I kind of liked the look of it more than this laser cut clover style I got done. But yeah, it was more of a time thing to set all those up and get them welded in time and finished the way I wanted to have them. I was really running out of time before we were leaving. So to just cut them all out and screw this piece of stainless in was a little bit easier. I still needed a lot of work, but yeah, I think I have a few other ideas. It might get changed. It might not. It doesn't, like, I don't know if it flows maybe enough for the radiator, which it does probably look like it, but I'm not sure.
Chad Atkinson said,
Chad.
Daddy, morning fellas, front suspension upgrades, can we have a squiz?
Yes. Yeah, have another look. So Chad was up there with us as well. Yeah, he kind of saw the dramas we were going through with it, not having any suspension. So what I had done, Chad, is I've reversed the main spring to lower the front end down an inch. And then each one of these has been greased, and I've put binding tape on it to hold it a little bit tighter. And then I've fabricated up those friction shocks that I had shown you, made a nice mount that goes behind the grill down to the frame. Just added some holes for aesthetics, welded in just a little the balls for the dog bones, and they just go down to the stock position on the spring perches for the front 29 to 31 kind of perches for the Model A. And yeah, it does work. So there's your adjustment. There's a little bolt that goes through here with a spring, and that keeps tension on these, but if you loosen it off, loosen suspension a little bit more. If you tighten them up, it tightens it. So these will get replaced. They have like these really neat greasable fittings, so that keeps the brake lining greased. And my mate Liam just powder coated these in a chrome just to see what they would look like. A little bit on the fence. I may end up sending these up and get them nickel plated for the front and rear. Just some subtle little pieces to finish it off, and I will change out this hardware to something a little bit different just to kind of keep the era. But it does work. It works really, really well compared to what it was. So I'm really happy with how it's come out.
Frank C, do you find inspiration for ideas from things other than automotive?
Certainly, all the time. Yeah, I think like even with this, when I was trying to get inspiration from it, like, yeah, I have tons of books of early cars and early, like, you know, indie stuff, sprint cars, things, speedster, whatever. Get a lot of inspiration from that. But I do kind of like looking outside of the box. And even when I design this, like I look at this as like a car it's obviously functional. You can get in it, it drives, it goes forward and back. But to me, this was like a piece of art. Like I wanted to show like what I had in my head. And it may not necessarily been like, you know, your stock standard car per se, or, you know, and I was trying to complement stuff that's been done and try and, you know, do some original pieces as well. But yeah, everywhere I go, I'm always inspired by the smallest things. Like I got the weirdest trinkets and like, yeah, I don't know. Here's one, for example. This is totally outside of the box. Random. This, I have no idea where I found it. It's a Surge from Chicago, Babson Bros, and what it is like it's like a pump, and these would get put down to like milk bottles or for something for cows. Maybe like, I don't think that goes on their udders, but it was like an old pump. And then this would actually pull it up, or maybe it goes the opposite way. Some guy explained it to me, and I just have had it for years. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with it. I thought about how cool it would be if you gutted it all out and that was on your firewall, and then you were running like a, 4 carburetor setup, and these fuel lines would go down to them. So that's like, not related to cars at all. It's a cow pump thing, but that's the stuff I get inspired by. So this one little piece, like, I'll hold on to that until I find, the car or idea that I want to use for it. So yeah, I love finding stuff outside of the box.
Good segue into the next question from Murdoch. Not knowing your past, what got you started on path into the world of cars and bikes?
What got me started into the world of cars and bikes?
Were you a kid and curious, or is it something in your family?
No, well, yeah, Dad's definitely been into cars. He really knows a lot about cars. He's had them in his past. My brother and I used to build kind of like mud trucks and 4-wheel drives when we were younger. But yeah, we're from like a place called Langley, BC. Shout out to all the boys there. Langley, BC is basically known for Harleys, Hells Angels, and hot rods. Maybe not so, yeah, more hot rods, but it's an incredible place, and everyone there builds, like, everyone has a shed in their backyard and everyone is building something. And yeah, we have like one of the biggest car shows in basically Western Canada, almost probably all of Canada, called the Langley Good Times Cruisin', once a year in September, and that like is like a massive like show, like huge. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people come from all over the country, come from the States and come to it. And it's so neat to just have them in a small little town. So that definitely kind of kickstarts you into it. And yeah, I don't know, I have an obsession for it, and it's hard to switch it off, but I think it just kind of grew to what it is now. So I love it.
3Ps Automotive. Hi from London. Looked like you had to remove the sump on the race week. What was the problem you had?
This is a good one. I had to remove the sump during the race week. Thank you, Gordon, for helping me. He was kind of looking over my back the whole time. What had happened was I have this dipstick. If it pulls out. As you can see, that dipstick on the end looks pretty shoddy. And there's a line right there. That line is actually a wear line, but looks like a fill line. And I didn't have another dipstick up there, so I kind of assumed like that was, right. So what had happened, long story short, we had 4.5 liters extra of oil in that thing. So you can imagine 8 liters of oil in a Flathead, what it was doing. Definitely got a good wash in there for sure. So what originally, until we had figured out that it was the dipstick and it had too much oil in it, we had thought it was a rear main, pulled the pan off, the rear main cap, forgot it was a slinger, so there is no rear main seal. And then when the pan was sitting on the ground with the dipstick in it, I looked at it right away and was just like, that's not right. So we picked up on it. Luckily it was that. I was kind of a bit worried that, I may have been out of the race for the weekend, but yeah, she's still going solid. So.
The Curtis Garage. Hello from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Is that
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg. What's that?
Winnipeg is like kind of central-ish. Yeah, sort of.
Canadian.
Yeah, Canadian. Yeah.
How fast were you going in that race? Looked super fun. If you touch on that again, and also what was the most challenging part of the build?
Yeah, so how fast I got, cracked 100 mile an hour. It was so much fun. Seriously, like I cannot explain it enough. That race, that weekend, that 10 days up there was like top 5 highlight of my life. I think the whole creation of trying to get the bike and the car done right down to the wire, like literally 10 days of, I think we were averaging like an hour and a half of sleep. It was pretty hectic. And yeah, just to get up there and for both to work with minor teething issues that we figured out with the car and to just have fun, race it hard. Like I definitely didn't, I wasn't easy on it by any means. And to be able to put them on the trailer and get them back here, and they're still doing what they're supposed to. Like I drove this around town yesterday secretly. But it was really fun. And the most challenging part about it, probably like maybe the sheet metal work on the body was quite challenging. Just like a lot of trial and error. It was just funny the amount of things, like with the cross member, I built 3 of them until I was happy with the last one. So that you have these ideas, you create these pieces, and then when you move forward and build more of the car, sometimes those pieces don't work. So it's just funny, like there's no manual or like instructions to go with it. So you end up kind of creating a few different pieces here and there. But yeah, that whole build was quite challenging, and the time frame, that was probably the biggest thing. The time frame, definitely that. Yeah. And that sucked because the whole build process was really good. It was super fun to do and like try and show as much of the build as possible in detail. And then when we got to that crunch time, unfortunately, we just didn't have the time to get there and have it out. So yeah, but it was still good.
Question from Frank, what's your daily driver?
A transit van that's out there. Yeah. Casey will agree with you. I never have a good daily driver. My daily driver last year was a 31 Roadster, and I drove that through winter with no top on it because the top was factory, and I cut the windscreen basically as soon as I bought the car and chopped it heavily, and the soft top got sold over east, so I drove that with no top on it during winter and just bought a really nice rain jacket. So I've never had good, reliable cars. I probably should, especially with a little grommet on the way. We're going to need one. So, yeah, I'll have to sacrifice a couple old car parts.
Lindsay Bennett again. Jordo, are you putting the car into any shows coming up?
Yes, Lindsay. Good question. Yes, this car and bike will be going into a show on the 26th, I believe, of November. I will not be there, as Casey, my partner, will be probably nearly about to pop a baby out. So I will be here supporting her as much as I can. Ben will be up there with a few friends, and the car will be displayed at the Western Street Machine and Hot Rod show. I forget what it's called. Sorry, Les, the organizer of it. It's at the Claremont Showgrounds in Perth. It's an indoor show. It's quite a neat one, especially for Perth. So if you guys are up there, definitely pop in, say hi to Ben, check out the car. We're going to have a pretty neat little Percolilly display. And we'll have some shirts for sale and a little bit of what's to come. So yeah, definitely if you guys want to see it in flesh, go if you're in Perth or the surrounding area. Definitely jump up there and have a look.
Question from Lost Rectors from Oregon.
Oregon.
What would you change? Are you going to race again?
Yeah, changing subtle things more just to get the drivability correct. I need to fix the Ackerman a little bit more on the steering so the steering wheel returns a bit better. The box needs to be shimmed again. It's kind of pretty not the nicest box to turn. And then we are going to race again. We're doing a cheeky one up there in a couple weeks' time, just so we can get a bit more filming done for our documentary, and and just have a little bit of fun. And I would like to do a few more races around. There is some local events that I would love to be a part of, and we're also trying to organize a few events down here. So if anyone in the surrounding area has a nice big piece of property that they would allow us to have a small oval dirt track on and have a few guys sleep in swags for a weekend, please get in contact with us. Which would be great. Oh yeah, WA Hot Rod and Street Machine Spectacular. That's what it's called. So November 26th, I believe.
Murdoch, what would be your dream car / bike?
Ooh, dream car. I'm kind of almost yeah, I have it. And that's basically a 28, 29 Roadster body on a set of original 32 rails. And yeah, kind of just a really neat traditional hot rod setup with a heavy chopped kind of soft top on it, which will be neat to build, or rag top. And yeah, I basically kind of have all the parts to build it. So like I get to actually build my dream car, which I'm very like excited about. And yeah, I just can't believe it all kind of worked. So that's going to be really neat. As far as a bike goes, I would love to make a really nice panhead. I kind of had a bunch of parts, and then, you know, you got to sell stuff to buy more stuff. So, but we do have some plans to do another bike. We'd love to do a Peach Fuzz 2.0, which would be really special. That was that funny little postie bike that I had done, the pink one. But I want to make the big brother of it, so that'd be kind of neat. So bike stuff is definitely still in the near future, and yeah, we both want to be on one. So
what's the future for the Bennetts Customs channel?
Yeah, so this is kind of something we want to talk to you guys about as well. For the future of Bennetts Customs, I mean, we hope that you guys enjoyed being able to kind of be a part of like a build series with, you know, like we still want to come out with like tutorial videos and how-tos and stuff, but I think like to be like engaged in it, it was really special to build this and have you guys kind of like behind it watching and you know, giving your input, whether it was good or bad. Like it was, I mean, 99% positives. So it was great to kind of have you guys along, and I hope like for you guys that watched and from day dot, like it was, you know, great satisfaction for you guys to see it kind of like from day dot, like of starting with that rusty cowl, and I was sitting on an esky lid with tires taped to the floor, to kind of what we had made and in the time frame, and then was able to do the event. So we want to like maybe try and encourage these and try and push more of these kind of like build threads of like of how-tos, but maybe rather than just having one car, we might have two. Like we do have a 55 olds that we want to build as well. So we might have like the Roadster and the 55 olds. They may kind of cross over each other slightly. If we're waiting for parts for one, we could kind of do something on the other one. The belly tanker is still a massive option. That one I'm still really want to try and tick off the list. And we have some pretty out there ideas for that, which would be neat. You can imagine how I'd have to build it for myself to fit in it. But yeah, we want to like create, I'm babbling on a bit about this, but we want to create, like a build series that you guys can watch, and we don't want to make it take years. We don't want to like stop doing it and then come back to it months later. Like we'd love to have it roll through and you get to create and see content every week with stuff. So, but you know, that's just the balance of trying to also do customer work, make sure we're still paying the rent over top of our heads, and being able to create these things and show you guys what we're up to. Oh yeah, okay. One thing too, you guys probably saw a lot of our photos and little reels and clips that we had. So Josh luckily came up with us. We're kind of a three-man team in here, whether he liked it or not when he came in. So he captured the event better than I think anyone could have had imagined. And just the photos that he took were incredible, and the footage that we have for a future documentary that we are working on. Probably it's a bit early to give away too much, but we are working on a really neat documentary that will be released next year, early next year sometime. We don't have a date yet, but we will keep you guys informed on that. But yeah, if you guys, in the link in this, we will put you over to his page on his YouTube channel, and you can see what he's been up to. He's also a wedding photographer, so that's basically his full-time job, and then his second full-time job is doing all of our photography and videography work. So yeah, thank you, Josh, for capturing the event so well. But
can we see the car started up?
Yes, thought you'd never ask. Oh, one more thing we do want to touch base on too before we wrap this up is There was lots of comments and we're getting like several emails about doing like a members only thing. We kind of didn't really know how to do it or go about it in the beginning. We have been looking into it. So yeah, basically we'll kind of give you a bit more information on that when we have kind of ironed out a few things. But yeah, it'll be kind of like a, you know, we're not sure exactly how it'll be set up. But yeah, we would just love to have you guys kind of involved with all of our builds and yeah, being able to kind of turn around and yeah, just do it as like kind of, you know, collaborative groups, get lots of people chiming in, giving us ideas and that. So we'll speak more about that later on, but for now, I'll just roll this forward and we can start this puppy up. The bike's actually surprisingly louder than this, which is funny. So in here, if Josh can bend down, he can see I had this really nice magneto switch, but it's got two little toggles at the moment because we were having an earthing problem when we were up there. But yeah, basically we got fuel, ignition, the light, the jewel always just stays on with the ignition light. I just thought it looks kind of neat. And then we got our doorbell ring. There's another piece of something that inspires you that's not, you know, not car related.
Before you press that, we've got a few more questions.
Okay, yeah. That's good. Needed
Automotive.
to prime it anyways.
Builds are great, especially when we see the finished car, but also follow Bennetts Customs on YouTube.
Oh.
Do you follow other YouTube channels?
Yeah, several. Bellows is like, yeah, definitely one of my top favorite to watch other than Carl and stuff. But yeah, Bellows is incredible. He has this amazing imagination. He basically does everything himself, which is great with help of people in his shop. But he's an all-arounder. He knows how to paint, knows how to do great body work, shaping. He's got some great sheet metal tools that he uses to create a lot of stuff. Carl is also great, Bennetts Customs. He, as you guys all probably know, he's a wizard. He's an absolute wizard when it comes to building stuff, and his imagination definitely goes way farther than just like a stock bog kind of building a car. His like truck, if you guys have seen it, is totally what his imagination is like. So that's it was really neat to see that thing come to life and driving it and just see how crazy it is. Like you really know what is like, even getting a small bit of what's going on in his head is wild. Who else do I follow on there? 1945 Custom, I believe. Sorry if that's wrong. He built like a really neat little alcohol fueled flathead kind of mid-mount T Roadster thing that he raced at the Race of Gentlemen, and he's like won it 2 years in a row, but it's just a wild little setup. It's really, really cool. RAC Garage, Travis, he's extremely talented if you guys ever want to jump onto his. Lee Grant, another local of Canada, he's in Victoria, BC on the island. He's a good mate of mine as well. And he's kind of an all-arounder as well, and he's really good at doing like upholstery. And that, having said that, his newest video coming out, he does a great, basically full interior on a Model A coupe. But yeah, he's really cool to watch. Super humble guy, has a lot of cool things. But yeah, kind of put on the spot. I'd like to have a list. There's probably like 40 of them. I'd love to give everyone a shout. But yeah, even maybe in our link, I'll try and like link a few really good ones to watch for. So. Yeah, Macro Machines, that's another one, just thought of that. Kid's like, he's graduated now, he's going into university. I believe he's from Texas, but he's moving to California to be an engineer and build like helicopter or airplane stuff. He's absolutely crazy. He's building a speedster that's similar to this, but on a way bigger scale. Just the amount of detail and precision and machining he does, it's unbelievable. So yeah, definitely give him a look at. He's great. So
JS Briggs, what was the fix for the suspension at the first test ride? It seemed a bit loose. Did you go over that?
Yeah, kind of briefly mentioned it, but actually, no, not really. What had happened was the time frame to get this car up there, we couldn't figure out or couldn't finish doing shocks. So we went up there with leaf sprung with no shocks. So first lap, I was getting like crazy wheel hop, like it was very scary actually. So what we had done is Ray had a piece of chain off the back of his trailer. We had a bunch of blokes stand on the front of the car and we actually chained the axle to the spring perch, or the part of the frame where the leaf spring sits to. So essentially we like eliminated the suspension entirely and just brought it right down. But that track is so perfectly flat, and you like slide the corners that like you didn't even really need suspension. So it worked out really well. So it'll be kind of neat to take it back up there with this new setup and see how it goes. But I'll definitely have the chain in the toolbox just in case.
Start up.
Sweet. It's got a leaky water pump. Never changed it, still leaks, but get there one day. Could even do a drive. Oh. Purrs like a kitten. Best sounding flathead. Could take it for a little lap.
A couple more questions coming
Yeah.
up first, and then
Yeah.
we'll take for that.
For sure.
Walter Coco, where did you learn your skills as such a young guy? You can fabricate and paint.
Where did I learn my skills? A lot of it was self-taught. I've never gone to school for anything. I tried to go to welding school. I failed my first exam. I was on a snowboard trip, so didn't study for that, unfortunately. So it would have been interesting to see where I've gone if that had happened. But no, a lot of it's just self-taught. I did like metalwork through high school, basically tried to do every program possible. While I was in school doing them, they actually had to design like new programs because I was excelling at them, and so the school board actually had to like design and make new ones for something for me to take so I could get like, you know, credits. So that was really neat. And yeah, I think like my whole family is very creative. My dad can like, you know, he's so good with like woodworking and his hands, and he was an art teacher. So my sister and brother and I, we all kind of like, yeah, we're really artistic as kids, and you know, they still are. So that kind of helped by learning stuff with just having like a steady hand in that. But everything's basically just self-taught. I've just like live on YouTube, watch so many tutorials. Like I've only just learned basically like aluminum welding in the last couple of years. Just like, yeah, basically went on, watched tutorials, how to crack, screwed up multiple times, asked lots of questions, and yeah, was able to figure it out. But I'm still continually learning, and by no means am I a pro at anything. I'm just self-taught, tons of trial and error, like a lot of trial and tons of error. So yeah, you obviously learn from your mistakes. So you got to get out there and give it a crack.
Always a student, never a master.
Yeah, always a student, never a master. That's great, Josh. That's fair. That's definitely something really good to live by for sure.
3Ps Automotive, do you have another job, or is your shop your fully-time job?
Full-time job is the workshop, yes. And by full-time, it is almost every day. No, Bennetts Customs, yeah, we are trying to wean out the day-to-day customers, and we are, you know, it's a dream, but we are trying to create and build stuff and push the envelope with this type of stuff and be able to, you know, buy and sell things to make sure that stuff is paid for, and create these type of builds and be able to, you know, pass them on to someone else. So yeah, this is a full-time job. We still have lots of projects that need to be finished off, but yeah, we'd like to, you know, try and get that sorted. So yeah, anyways, we could probably do this all day. I'm sure there's tons of questions. We can always do another one in the future, maybe when we kind of get the all the stuff I've brought over from Canada in, and you guys can kind of have a little sticky peek of what we're up to with that. But yeah, thank you so much for chiming in. A lot of great questions. It was kind of nice to be able to do this. You just feel like a little bit more connected to to those of you who are viewing. So yeah, please don't ever hesitate to jump in and yeah, give us your suggestions on future stuff or just feedback in general. But yeah, this is kind of where we want like Bennetts Customs to go, and we want to really make sure that we're kind of part of the of the people watching. So yeah, we always want to make sure we are getting you know, getting all of our comments and everything through. But I reckon that's probably a wrap on the old questions. I might go take this for a little hot lap and you guys can see it leave, and I'll leave you in the dust until another day. I'll move this out of the way. Should take that for a drive. Actually, need to true the wheel on it. You'd probably be able to unplug that cord, Josh.